Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Stephen and Oliver Show. My turn. I've got this one, so apologies if you don't like it, but that's tough. I wanted to do it. And this one is very simply called Be Present. Now, I'm not going to go into the length of detail about where this is coming from, but I've had a load of conversations in the last few weeks with a few people, Marcus Hemsley being one of them. We chat quite regularly about something called the 3 Principles. And I will bore people to senseless about that on another podcast or if they want to reach out to me. But for now, I'm not going to dwell on it too much. And what I realise is I've got a lot going on and he's got a lot going on in his world and a few other people I've spoken to have as well. And the core element really of the 3 Principles is about being present. Now, what's this hippie nonsense you're talking about, Oliver? I hear most of you say, because this is challenging for some people initially, but ultimately it's about living in the now and realizing that things that are happening from the outside are not having any impact on you at all. It's how you're thinking about it. It's also about spending time dwelling on the past is very rarely helpful unless you're doing it for positive reflection to balance yourself now. And at the same time, worrying about what might happen in the future when it hasn't happened is really, really unhelpful. So I'm going to go into a bit more detail about that. But first and foremost, because I'm talking about being present, you'll have your perspective on it. I will have it from my 3 Principles angle. What does that mean to you, and what do you see the benefits of it are, and the dangers of looking forward and past and regrets and things like that?
Do you know what, Oliver? I always love it when you talk, because when you talk, lots of things come into my head, and this one's quite a strong one for me because I think so often we get caught up in what we think is going to happen further down the line. We all do it. We get absolutely caught up in it. And actually, we miss the pot of gold that's right in front of us in the moment, under our noses. And when you have a child, you hear a lot of people go, I can't wait until. I remember saying it. I can't wait until my daughter is da-da-da-da. I can't wait until my son is da-da-da-da. And actually, what you're doing is you're missing what's happening right there, right now, in that moment. That's special stuff. And also where, listen, we've all suffered some form of trauma. We've all had things that have happened to us, good and bad, historically. And, we all can sometimes dwell a bit in that. And, it really starts to move into what I call, being grateful and humble of where you are right now and what you have right now, not thinking about where, always looking in the past and how things were. So I think this one's a really strong one, and whether that's in people's personal lives or in business, sometimes we're so set on looking at what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, that we forget about what's happening today. And actually, I think we miss out on so much because of that, and then we don't see. So that's the thing that I'm really going to talk about is you don't see those beautiful things that are happening around you. And, I talked in the previous podcast about, me, being a bit more risk averse and trusting my gut. And actually this sort of falls into that category where sometimes the most amazing thing is right under your nostril. It's right there, but you can't see it because you're so focused on what you think is going to happen in the future that you don't miss that amazing thing that's right there looking at you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a perfect example, which I think a lot of people could tweak to their examples, of running a business, say, or running a team or a project or what have you. So I've got a big building project going on here. So first and foremost, well and truly self-inflicted. And I've caught myself a few times actually dwelling on, first of all, oh my God, that's a ton of money that we've spent on there. And it's more than we had anticipated, and we're doing more to the house than we'd ever planned. I've also caught myself thinking about, well, we've still got a lot more to do. So we're just finishing phase 1 at the minute. There's a second phase. And again, that's going to cost a lot of money. That's going to be problematic because everything at our bloody house is how it seems to be. However, when I then realised that, I realised, well, that's not helpful because that bit's gone. Done. Nothing I can do about that. I've made those decisions. Also, I don't know how it's going to play out. But if I just sit here crapping myself about what's going on in the future, I am going to get very, very stressed. But at each time I've sat in or stood in the property or sat there thinking about it in the moment, I'm like, wow, we have come right here, right now. We've come so far. Right here, right now, it's been done perfectly. Right here, right now, I'm lucky enough to have my health. Right here, right now, I'm lucky that I've been able to do this. So many people don't. Not that other people are relevant in these moments at all, but you're just thinking, actually, I've got this. My family is fit and healthy. What an amazing space this. And then I start thinking, oh no, my family is all fit and healthy, and what an amazing space. Now that's moving too far forward, but we're all fit and healthy right now. And at one particular point, the sun shone through with these new glass windows that we've got. And everything was just okay. And it was weird. Stephen, the podcast is recorded in an office in my back garden, and he walks up, and you come here virtually every fortnight or so. And it's just you saying, wow. And you could just tell it wasn't like just humouring me, wow. It was genuine recognition that there's been a change. For the 2 weeks here, I've not seen it. Not really. I know we've made progress, but it's day by day. And even the builders that you spoke to, they're like, no, we didn't notice it. And it's just nice to have that outside recognition. So therefore, that highlights the fact that right now, that project's in great shape. Because someone who's not been here for a period of time made a comment, very positive. But if I allow myself to think about how we got there over the last 2 weeks, I'll be taking myself back into the past. That's not a fun experience because it's been challenging. And moving forward, there will be many more challenges to come, but they're also not relevant. It doesn't mean ignore it, because you need to plan. And that's what you do in the present. Right. What's the next step? And the next step? And the next step? And I think this is why the 3 principles sit so well with me, is because I love also the slight edge and the principle of the compound effect, and just doing small daily actions from this point, keep moving forward. That ripple effect will go out. So for me, it's a really powerful one. And like I say, I'll happily talk to people about the 3 principles and the Inside Out Revolution, a book by Michael Neal that I've mentioned a few times, and the impact of, and I'll come on to the external forces bit in a second, but I don't want to dominate this. So you talked about seeing. So from your perspective, what when you're present, what do you mean by you see more for you?
It's almost like the world and the day passing you by because you're not in it. You're not in that moment. And you know I'm a bit of a health fanatic, and I like to go to the gym and work out. And it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because sometimes people are so fixated on where they want to go that they're not really focused on what needs to happen in that moment to get to where you want to go. And I guess that's what I'm talking about. It's almost like in that moment, you can crystallize things and make things such great quality and have such a great session and really enjoy it. You will get the benefit further on down the line. But in that moment, it's putting that quality in there, and it's appreciating what's happening there, and it's having those positive conversations then, and I think that's what I mean by the, in that moment right now, what you can see, what's around you. And it's just like, I guess you use the word there about being humble and having gratitude. And I think that has a lot to do with it as well, because when you're humble and you have gratitude, it's almost like you're super excited that you're in that day that you're in. You're super excited for what's going to happen. That day you've woken up. You're not thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow and what's going to happen next week, because you've got gratitude, right? So you're grateful for the fact that it's a new day. You've woken up, the sun's shining. You've got to bounce, going to brush your teeth and have a shower, and then start your day. But you're in it. You're not thinking about what's going to happen the day after. And whether that's in business, as I said, where sometimes we have a plan, and we're chasing that plan so far down the line that we're forgetting about the things we have to do now to deliver the plan. You're starting to do your forecasting, you're looking at your strategy, but you forget that actually you've got to deliver the day that you're in first. And it's that 1% thing again, isn't it? You can't improve 100% on day one. Okay. But if you do 1% for the next 60 days, you'll get to that 100%. But it's focusing on the day that you're in and having that gratitude and taking it in as well, and we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of running before we can walk. We're all guilty of looking far ahead and not seizing the moment while you're in that moment. So for me, this podcast is great because it allows us to yes, reflect on what's happened previously, which is great, because that can also be great for learning, so that you don't you potentially don't repeat the mistakes that you've made, but you deliver in that moment. The delivery is there and then. That's when it gets delivered. Yeah. So it's really paying attention to that and really embracing it. And I think this podcast will really resonate with so many people, because I can't think of one person that I've known in my business life, my personal life, that hasn't taken the day that they're in for granted. Mm-hmm. I think we all do it. And especially when you've got children, I think that one I hear a lot. I can't wait until when you're 7. Yeah, but I'm not 7. I'm 3 now. So enjoy me being 3. Yeah. Enjoy this moment right now. Yeah. So yes, that's what I mean about seeing it.
Yeah. Well, think about it from a work perspective. The terminology that I always refer to is sleepwalking through work. First and foremost, if that's you sleepwalking through work, giving 50-60% of what you can do because you don't love it, that's not a great existence, and that will not fill you with purpose and certainly won't make you happy. But as an employer, what if you have a load of people sleepwalking through work? You're not getting anywhere near the level of productivity you could. And that is most companies to a degree, isn't it? So moving slightly off topic there a little bit, but it brings me to that point, about being engaged in whatever it is you do and finding something that you love. It's far easier than you think. We've done a previous episode about trusting your gut. That there's also things that you will be passionate about. There are things that will just be naturally you'll be good at. And if you're not ever feeding that through what is potentially a large part of your life through work, that's something you would definitely need to look at, and you can. So part of that trusting your gut is, if you're a bit bored and a bit miserable, listen to that. Why are you bored? Why are you miserable? What's that all about? But also, it's not a bad segue really into what I'm talking about, external influences. So a big part of the 3 principles thinking, and it's not really thinking, but in terms of for the purpose of this podcast, it is. You might think leaving your job is going to have an impact on your life, and you're not necessarily wrong about that. But all the reasons why it might have an impact for you might lead you to make the decision that I can't leave, instead of having a conversation about all the opportunities that I might have to move and where I'm at this particular moment in time, and focusing on that present piece. That's really important. But also external noises, like you might hear the economy's crap at the minute. Now, that might be a physical fact, but the economy being crap is not having a direct impact on you right now in any more than small areas. Now, again, some people will be saying, my mortgage is not a small matter, and all utility rate bills going up and so forth, that's not a small matter and so forth. But it is, and it's not having a direct impact on you. It's how you're thinking about it. And this is the bit that a lot of people struggle with. And when I talk with people who are a bit more aware of this understanding, it's a difficult balance, because we come across as seeming a bit, high and mighty, I suppose is one way to describe it. We're not. We just find it really difficult to not think that way, because we know that something can be happening outside, and how I interpret it will be how I see it's impacting me. Yeah. But it's an external influence. So I can therefore have more control of that than I realise, because I don't have to think the way I'm thinking. I can think incredibly positively. I can think incredibly negatively about it. I can just ignore it. Mm-hmm. There's all these things I can do, and never has it been more important now with the with so much social media. I was going to say a word that I was tongue-tied on and couldn't get out there, as you may have twigged. But with all that noise out there, let's take media, whatever that looks like now, because it's not just a couple of news channels at 6 p.m, is it, and things like that anymore. It's 24-hour consumption, much of it BS. But that's not real, because it's not what's happening to you. And also, you could look at it and think, oh, that's terrible, the world's going to end. Or you could look at that and think, well, that is so far away, I don't even know if that's real. I mean, blimey, now I don't even know if it's literally real, because it's AI generated or whatever. Don't let it be. Don't let what you see outside of yourself impact your thinking to make external noise seem like a fact in your life. Be clear, and that's when coming back down to that present. I mean, other areas of would call it grounding, I suppose. There's many different ways to look at it. I don't care what one works for you, but don't spend time looking at the noises over there. Don't spend time thinking about the crap that's just been, and don't spend time worrying about what might be. Get yourself as quickly and as quietly as you can back to right now, and ask yourself questions like, how's my health right now? What's the weather like right now? How do I feel about life right now? Not 5 minutes ago or not in 5 minutes time, but right here, right now. How do I feel? Like perfectly at this moment, I'm buzzing because I'm doing a podcast, which I love doing with Stephen. The sun is shining a little bit out there. The building project's going quite well. This is a great podcast for those who are willing to sort of engage with it. There's nothing more to say. It's great. The world is a great place. If I chose to think about looking at my budget, it's not so much fun. I wouldn't be very happy about that, but that's gone. And I also will use that to look at it in a present moment, to plan it and make it more organized. And you respond, you find ways, don't you? When you get to the present, even things that look problematic in the future, if you actually just look at them now in the present and think about, well, what's the next step? Your point, small little actions that you can take. And if I do that today and then another one tomorrow and another one tomorrow, your whole point about 60 days, like I used to have a thing on my website called the 90-day challenge, where I just encourage people to do 1 or 2 or 3 things every single day for 90 days, come back and tell me what that was. And it's normally be around fitness, reading good content and a couple of other bits and pieces. And it's mind-blowing what you can do. 90 days straight, daily action, it's huge. So I think I've had more than enough on this particular one, but it was my one. So I was always going to get a bit ranty about it, wasn't I? So what final points would you like to give everybody?
Again, we've talked about quite a lot of things there, and we've talked about how they impact us. And what I would say is, don't feed into that frenzy of what's going to happen. Stay in the moment and the present and focus on what's happening. Because we know, don't we, that we can change the way we feel, the way we think, by thinking so far ahead. And 9 times out of 10, not always, but 9 times out of 10, those things don't even happen anyway.
Yeah.
So you're spending time thinking about things that actually you don't need to be thinking about them.
Yeah.
And that's when you make like crazy decisions as well, because you're making a decision based on what you think is going to happen.
Yeah.
Listen, no one's got a crystal ball, live in that moment. So I would say live in the moment, enjoy the moment, be present in your life with the people that love you, with the people that care for you, the people you work with, the people you're around. Don't start thinking about tomorrow and next week and the week after that. Live in the moment that you're in.
Yep, I absolutely love that. For me, both of us, as always available. This is one I particularly love talking about. So if you feel that you, as we describe it, getting up in your head, have a think about that. You're not. You're just allowing yourself to do it, and it is easily avoidable. So you will be okay. If this has triggered you in any way, do reach out to Stephen or myself. Equally, if you don't want to do that, do reach out to the book, both audio or physical, called The Inside Out Revolution with Michael Neal, that will give you some clue about what both of us are talking about, actually, because we're coming at it from different angles at the exact same point, because none of this is rocket science. So really hope you've enjoyed that one. Hope it's triggered you a little bit, to be fair. I don't normally wish that upon people, but I do today. And I hope it gets you thinking about your thinking. So without any further ado, I will end it there. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.